Greetings everyone. So recently I was requested by the Sakya Monastery of Tibetan Buddhism in Seattle to briefly speak about Avalokiteshvara, commonly known as Chenrezi in Tibetan. And so therefore today I will be speaking about him and his six-syllable mantra, which is known as Om Mani Padme Hum. So first of all, to speak about Chenrezi. Chenrezi is a very popular bodhisattva in the Mahayana tradition of Buddhism. And the reason why I believe he is very popular is because he is known to be the bodhisattva of compassion. And compassion in the Mahayana tradition is very important because the goal of a Mahayana practitioner is to attain full and complete enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. And this thought or wish is sprung from the thought of compassion. And this compassion is directed towards all sentient beings. And the nature of this compassion is the wish for all sentient beings who have been one's mother in one's past lives to be free from suffering as well as the causes of suffering. So therefore compassion is a very important practice according to the Mahayana tradition, and it is you could consider it one of the most important causes of attaining enlightenment. And so therefore, for all of those who are wishing to attain enlightenment, it is essential to have compassion. And now, so therefore, since we need to develop this compassion, we need to develop it and nurture it, one of the best ways is to rely on the bodhisattva of compassion, Chenrezi, and because he is the embodiment of the compassion of all of the Buddhas of the three times, past, present, and future. So therefore we rely on him, and also that is why he is very famous in the countries where the Mahayana tradition exists, such as China, Tibet, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Mongolia, Taiwan, and the like. So therefore, he is a very famous bodhisattva. He's very well known and respected, although in many countries he is respected as and considered as a female bodhisattva. But that is, there's no real difference, because in the enlightened state, there's no such thing as male or female. And the true nature of enlightenment does not have such distinctions. However, there are such different forms emanated by Avalokiteshvara, based on the different needs of sentient beings. So for some who prefer a male form, he emanates as a male. He appears as a male in the male form, and for those who prefer a female form, he appears in the form of a motherly figure. So that is Chenrezi, and he's known by different names, such as Guanyin, Guanxin Pusa in China, Guanteam in Vietnam, I believe Kanun in Japan, and in Tibetan we call him Chenrezi, and in India, in ancient India, he was known as Avalokiteshvara. And so now his name is Avalokiteshvara, and if you want to know about what his name means, in one of the sutras, the Bodhisattva Vajra, who is the Bodhisattva of power, asks Buddha Shakyamuni, why is Avalokiteshvara known as Avalokiteshvara? And to that, the Buddha replies that Avalokiteshvara is known as Avalokiteshvara because he looks upon the world at all times, and he looks upon sentient beings, he cares for sentient beings, he has a loving, benevolent heart, and he breathes life into sentient beings, and he fulfills the wishes or the needs of all sentient beings. And so therefore he is known as Avalokiteshvara. So with that we can get an understanding of why he is called Avalokiteshvara. And he has many different forms. According to Tibetan Buddhism, there are mainly two most famous forms, the 1,000-armed and 1,000-eyed Chenrezi form, as well as the 4-armed Chenrezi form. And there are many other forms, but these two being the most well-known. And to speak briefly about these two forms, I thought of maybe speaking about the history and the story of the appearance of the 1,000-armed and 1,000-eyed Chenrezi form. So first of all, Chenrezi was born in the Pure Land of Sukhavati, which is the Pure Land of the Buddha Amitabha, the Buddha of Limitless Light. And he was born there miraculously through the power of Buddha Amitabha. Once he was born, after he was born, he looked down on the sentient beings of cyclic existence, and he saw that many were shrouded by the darkness of ignorance, many were consumed by anger, and many by attachment, blinded by attachment and jealousy and the like. So basically he realized, and he saw for himself that many sentient beings were suffering due to these many afflictive emotions. And so therefore he, a deep sadness overcame him, and due to that, two tears came out from both of his eyes, and from the right tear that came from the right eye, it is believed that Tara emerged, the goddess Tara, and from the left tear, the goddess Birkuti emerged, and they both told Avalokiteshvara to practice in the mind of enlightenment and to not be lazy or idle in the work of helping sentient beings. And they both told him that they will support all of his work in accomplishing the needs of sentient beings and to deliver sentient beings to enlightenment. And so therefore he was, that is how the two, especially how that is how Tara emerged, and as well as the goddess Birkuti. And then shortly after that, he then invited many Buddhas from different Buddha realms in front of him. He prostrated himself, made vast offerings, and he prayed that, and also Buddha Amitabha, his own main guru, came in front of him, and then he made the promise to all of these Buddhas that he will make sure that he will deliver all sentient beings to the state of full and complete enlightenment. And if in any case he stops thinking of the benefit of others and starts thinking of his own welfare, and then if such a thought arises in his mind, he prayed that may my head be shattered into 10 pieces. So he made such a prayer, and then in promise to the Buddha Amitabha and countless Buddhas. And to that, Buddha Amitabha told him that, noble son, it is very excellent that you have made such a promise and aspirations. All of the past Buddhas before have attained enlightenment by making such promises and aspirations, so it is most excellent, and I myself will support you in your endeavors to help sentient beings. And so Buddha Amitabha gave his full support to Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, and so after that, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara then emanated 6 different Buddhas in the 6 different realms of samsara, which are the God, or you could say the heaven, the heavenly realm, and the demigod realm, the human realm, the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. So he emanated 6 different Buddhas to save the sentient beings living in each of the 6 realms. And he did that, and after a long time after he had emanated such Buddhas and sent them to the 6 realms, he then went to the summit of Mount Meru, which is, according to Buddhist cosmology, the highest mountain in the universe. And so he went up to the summit of Mount Meru, and he looked down where he could see all of the sentient beings in cyclic existence. However, when he looked down, he noticed that although earlier he had sent these emanations, these 6 different Buddhas in the 6 realms to save sentient beings, and by this time, although many sentient beings, countless sentient beings had already been liberated, he still noticed that there were countless more, and it had not really lessened exactly, because the number of sentient beings, it is limitless. So therefore he noticed that still there was countless sentient beings left, and then because of this a deep sadness overcame him again, and he thought to himself that it is true that sentient beings are limitless, and the activities of the Buddhas are vast. For someone like me, I do not think I can help sentient beings anymore, and so maybe it's best if I seek personal liberation, personal happiness. And so he thought of that, and right at that moment his head shattered into so many pieces, many different fragments, and due to that he experienced a great pain, a lot of great pain, and he immediately called out to his guru, Buddha Amitabha, for his help and assistance. And right away Buddha Amitabha came in front of Avalokiteshvara, and he gathered all of the fragments of Avalokiteshvara's head together and blessed Avalokiteshvara with 11 heads. So there are 9 peaceful heads, and 3 on each level. So there's 3 on the first level, 3 on the second level, and 3 on the third level. So there's a total of 9 heads, and on top of that there's a wrathful head. And on top of that one wrathful head there's Amitabha's own head, so a total of 11 heads. He blessed Avalokiteshvara with such heads, and the reason of blessing Avalokiteshvara in such a way was for the peaceful heads, because there's no limit to samsara, and the wrathful head was because for Avalokiteshvara to be able to tame those sentient beings who are not to be able to be tamed through peaceful means. So for those who need to be tamed through wrathful means, he blessed Avalokiteshvara with one wrathful head. And then on top of that, there's his own, Amitabha's own head, because he is the root guru of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. And he told Avalokiteshvara that now you need to continue to help sentient beings until all sentient beings are liberated, until samsara is emptied. And when Amitabha said that to Avalokiteshvara said, if that is so, then may I be endowed with 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes, and from the 1,000 arms may 1,000 Chakravartin, or you could say wheel-turning monarchs, which are very powerful rulers, emerge to help sentient beings, and from the 1,000 eyes, from each of the palms of of his hands, may there be 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate era may they emerge from there. And so he made such prayers, and he then became endowed with 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes. And so that is the origin of the form of the 1,000 arm and 1,000 eyed Avalokiteshvara. And this is one of the most popular forms. It is the form in which the Nyungne, or the fasting rituals of Avalokiteshvara are based on. It's based on this form, and so this is a very important form. Another important form of Avalokiteshvara is the four-armed form, and the four-armed form is he has one head, 4 arms, and 2 legs, and the one head symbolizes the oneness in the nature of suchness or phenomena, and the 4 arms symbolize the loving kindness, compassion, and joy and equanimity, these 4 qualities that Avalokiteshvara are endowed with. And in his he has both of his palms together at the center of his heart, the first 2 palms together, and in the mudra, or the hand gesture, praying. And that is to symbolize that he is requesting the Buddhas of all the directions and of all of the times to continue to perform the activities of benefiting sentient beings. And he is commonly holding a jewel, a wish-fulfilling jewel between these 2 palms, clasped between these 2 palms. And this wish-fulfilling jewel represents bodhicitta, which is the mind of enlightenment. And in his second right hand, he holds a crystal rosary, and that crystal rosary symbolizes the unchanging, it symbolizes the unceasing compassion of Chenrezi. And in his second left hand, he holds the stem of a fully developed lotus, which symbolizes the unchanging purity of his wisdom. And he sits with both of his legs crossed in the Vajra posture, and that symbolizes the inseparability of samsara and nirvana, which is cyclic existence and liberation. And so that is the meaning of the each of the parts of his body, and his hand emblems of the form of the 4-armed Chenrezi. And so he's, as I mentioned earlier, he's a very powerful bodhisattva. He's a very well-known, and not just well-known, but he's a very powerful bodhisattva. His activities are considered to be none like any other bodhisattva. And he is praised in many of the sutras taught by the Buddha, such as the Lotus Sutra and the Sutra on the Baskets display. And in the Lotus Sutra itself, there are many mentions of how Avalokiteshvara, even if you think about his, just thinking about Avalokiteshvara, if you are faced with any kind of danger, such as there are thieves, or thieves, robbers, or criminals, such as murderers and the like, and whether it is great fears and dangers such as snakes, and wild animals and the like, and also any kind of natural disaster. If one is facing any such dangers, any such kind of danger, if one thinks of Avalokiteshvara, immediately all of these fears and dangers will be pacified. So he's just thinking about him is believed to bring great protection. And also in the same sutra, the Lotus Sutra, there's a whole chapter dedicated to Avalokiteshvara in the Lotus Sutra. Also, I believe in there it mentions that when one dies, at the moment of when death dawns, then if one thinks of Avalokiteshvara, if one accepts him as one's sole protector, then without a doubt he will protect you, he will take care of you in one's next life, and he will all of one's sufferings and afflictive emotions will be will naturally dissolve, will naturally be pacified, and also one will be reborn in the Buddha realm of Sukhavati, which is Buddha Amitabha and also Avalokiteshvara's pure realm. And so it also says that there is no such being such as Avalokiteshvara, no other such being such as him who has perfected qualities like him, all the qualities like him. And so therefore, just thinking about him once, one will be endowed with inexhaustible merit just by thinking of him. So therefore, there are many great benefits of thinking about him and praying to him. The great master Muchu Tome, Gyatso Muchu Tome, who composed the practice of the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, that work, he also mentions in a prayer to Avalokiteshvara that he composed that because Avalokiteshvara has perfected the two accumulations of merit and wisdom, just by thinking of him, if one sees him, hears his name, or just by thinking about him, one's sufferings and afflictive emotions will naturally disappear, and one will be protected by him. And so there are many great benefits mentioned by the masters, great masters such as Gyatso Muchu Tome as well. And then also we have the mantra of Chenrezi, which is the six-syllable mantra, which is recited as Om Mani Padme Hum. And so the meaning of this mantra is very extensively explained in the Manigabum, which is the which would be translated as the compendium of the money or the jewel, which was taught by the great Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo, who was a emanation of Avalokiteshvara himself. And in there are many ways of explaining the meaning and benefits of each of the six syllables. And there is now, of course, a difference. Some of you might notice that some people recite it as Om Mani Padme Hum, some recite it as Om Mani Padme Hum Shi. So according to the great Jonang master Tolbuwa Sherab Gyaltsen, Om Mani Padme Hum is mentioned in the more earlier works, such as the sutras, and by the early masters. It is mentioned in the baskets, the Sutra of the Baskets display, where the Buddha mentions of many of the past lives of Avalokiteshvara, the past lives of Buddha himself, in which he heard from other Buddhas the activities of Avalokiteshvara, and also the samadhis, or the meditative absorptions of Avalokiteshvara that he is endowed with, and that sutra is fully dedicated to Avalokiteshvara and his qualities. So it is good if you could, if some of you, who are interested in knowing more about Avalokiteshvara, who wish to learn more about him, if you go to the 84,000 translation group's website, you will find the sutra there translated into English from the Tibetan. So one can read that, and in there it mentions also the mantra of Chenrezi, and it mentions it is being Om Mani Padme Hum. And in there it is just, there's no seventh syllable, Shi. Shi is this last syllable, which is Shi, which is not included in or mentioned in the earlier works or textbooks or compositions, the Buddhist works. The six-syllable is the seed syllable of Avalokiteshvara, and so it itself encompasses the whole mantra, the whole six syllables in itself, but it is not mentioned in the early works. Now, according to Tolbova, the start, when the seven-syllable mantra, you could say, which is by adding the seed syllable, shi, it started from when the great master of the ancient tradition, the Nyingma tradition known as Guru Chowang, it is believed that it started from him and from his treasure texts, and also his, it started to appear from his treasure texts, the treasures revealed by him, and that mantra with the seed syllable included with it was propagated by him and his disciples. And so therefore there's no real big major difference. One can recite it either way as one wishes. If you are just going to usually recite it as any time of the day, you can recite it either way. However, if you're reciting based on a particular practice manual, which would be called a sadhana, then it is good to practice or recite it just as it is mentioned in the textbook. So the Manikabum mentions the meaning of each and also the benefits of each of the syllables in great detail. There's not enough time to mention about all of it, but basically what we can understand is that but the benefits of reciting Om Mani Padme Hum is that by reciting it, by reciting each of the six syllables, the six different defilements will be pacified, the six perfections will be perfected or realized, you could call it perfected, and also in the end, ultimately one will attain the state of the six Buddhas. So therefore there's many great benefits, and also one will attain the wisdom, the six different kinds of wisdoms of a Buddha by reciting each of the six syllables. And also it is mentioned by Guru Rinpoche himself in his biography known as Katang Sangnyingma, which was revealed by the great treasure revealer known as Nyangral Nimawasel, that Guru Rinpoche himself said that the six-syllable mantra has the power of closing the door of rebirth in the six realms, each of the six realms, which I mentioned earlier as being the God, the demigod, the human, the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the hell realm. And it closes the door of being rebirth in each of these places, and that's a good thing because each of these places is a place of samsara. It is a state in samsara, it is a place in samsara, in cyclic existence, and there's suffering in each of these different states. For example, the gods have a suffering of a painful death, and the demigods suffer from constantly going to war with the gods and losing the battles. And the humans have the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death. The animals have the suffering due to ignorance, and also the suffering of each animal eating each other. And then the hungry ghosts are endowed with the suffering of great hunger and thirst, while the hell beings are endowed with the suffering of great being too cold and too hot. Because there are eight cold realms and 8 hot realms, and also neighboring hell realms. So there are many different kinds of sufferings in each of these realms. And Om closes the door of being rebirth in the God realm Ma closes the door of being rebirth in the demigod realm. Ni closes the door of being rebirth in the human realm. Be closes the door of being rebirth in the animal realm. Me closes the door of being rebirth in the hungry ghost realm. And Hum closes the door of being rebirth in the hell realm. And so therefore, it is a very powerful mantra. Guru Rinpoche also says that he himself is able to count if he needs to. He can count all of the raindrops that fall on the earth in the span of 12 years. However, he can count each raindrop that falls in the span of 12 years. However, he cannot count the merit that Avalokiteshvara has, and also the power of reciting the Mani Mantra even once, and so on. There's so many benefits that he mentions about the mantra in Avalokiteshvara. He goes on to say that if by reciting the Mani Mantra 108 times each day, continuously, then one will not be reborn in one's future life in the three lower realms, which are the hell, hungry ghosts, and the animal realm. Instead, one will be reborn as a human and be endowed with the chances of practicing the Dharma, and one will behold the face of Avalokiteshvara himself. And if one continuously recites the Mani Mantra or the six-syllable mantra 21 times a day, one will be endowed with the very melodious voice. One will also be able to retain anything that one memorizes, and also understand the meaning of the words of the scriptures effortlessly. And if one is able to recite the Mani Mantra 7 times continuously each day, even just 7 times, all of one's misdeeds and faults will be purified, and in all of one's future lifetimes, one will not be separated from Avalokiteshvara. So these are some of the benefits that he mentions. And also, Guru Rinpoche goes on to say that if someone is afflicted by a certain disease, any kind of disease, compared to relying on any kind of remedy or treatment, there's no other remedy that is more effective than reciting the six-syllable mantra. So therefore, I believe that if one thinks of Avalokiteshvara, keeps him in mind with great devotion. One needs to have great devotion, because although Avalokiteshvara's compassion is unceasing, and he is ready to help all sentient beings, if we are not open to his blessings, then we will not be able to receive his blessings. It is like closing the door from receiving his blessings. For example, the sun shines on the ground in all directions. However, the cave that is faced towards the north direction, the sunshine cannot come to the cave that is faced towards the north direction. And it is not because of the sun's fault, the fault of the sun rays, but rather it is the fault of where the cave is positioned. Likewise, Chenrezi sends his blessing to all sentient beings and is ready to help all sentient beings. However, if we do not have compassion, if we do not have faith, then we will not be able to receive his blessing. So therefore, it's very important to have faith, a clear faith in Chenrezi. The kind of faith that we should have is the faith of trusting him, and being awed by his, inspired and awed by his qualities, and also a kind of faith in which we ourselves wish to attain the qualities that he himself, Chenrezi himself, is endowed with. We need such a faith. And so if we have such a faith and recite the Mani Mantra, thinking of Chenrezi, I'm sure that in such times when the COVID-19 pandemic, and also any other kind of diseases are spreading around across the globe. Due to the blessings of Chenrezi oneself, there are chances that we will be protected from catching such diseases. And even if one has already caught such diseases, there's a good chance to be cured from it. So I believe in that, and therefore I would like to request all of you to also think of Avalokiteshvara as much as you can, and recite the Mani Mantra as much as possible. And so with this, I've completed my talk. And once again, as the pandemic is, I would like to say that as the pandemic is spreading all across the globe, it is very important that we listen to health experts and take any kind of safety precautions, such as wearing face masks when we need to go out. It's best if one can stay in home as much as possible, and if in any case we do need to go out, please do wear face masks, and also wash your hands as much as you can, as we need to keep our hands sanitized, as we can catch many diseases and such germs, and especially the COVID-19 easily these days. And it is important that we think about others, not just for oneself. Although oneself, even if one does not care for one's own health, we need to also care. We need to care for those who we love, our loved ones and our friends, because by going out and taking a risk, and if you contract the COVID-19 disease, then there's a risk that your family members, your loved ones, your friends can also contract it, and there's a danger that they will suffer, and you may also lose your loved ones due to that. So we need to necessarily take every precaution that we can. So I request you all to do so, and please take care, and hope to get in touch with all of you as soon as possible. Again, thank you.